Hello, bookworms! How are you all? Cassie, Melissa, and I are back with our next installment of the Spines with Wines book club. This month we have read The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine, and we are very excited to be here to discuss it with all of you today. Hopefully you have read it because there will be spoilers going ahead, so if you haven't yet, you might want to wait and then come back once you're finished so that you can weigh in on all of our opinions. Do you guys want to start off by introducing yourselves?
Sure. I'm Melissa Kay, and today I'm going to be drinking Dr. Pepper in a glass because I've taken a lot of medication and wine would probably be a bad idea.
Okay, I just realized I don't know if I introduced myself as Cassie or Cassandra in these videos. I don't know. I'm Cassie Rose. Sure. I found the most perfect wine last week. It's called Once Upon a Vine. There it is. And it's called the Fairest Chardonnay, and it's got like woods and then a little witch's arm with like a magic mirror. And the description is really cute. It says it can transport you to a magical vineyard far, far away. And I thought it was kind of perfect because we're doing a Snow White retelling.
That is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And as you probably know if you're here on my channel, I'm Kristen, and I am drinking this wine that's called Apothic White. The vines in it just looked like fairy tale-esque to me. It was like the closest thing that I could find. I really wanted something more along the lines of what Cassie got because that was so perfect, but alas, I have this and I don't even know like what kind of wine it is because it just says that it's a blend of white.
Did you do that when we did the Dead House?
Like surprise wine. Did I? No. Didn't I choose the one that was like schizophrenia wine?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone had like Apothic something.
I think maybe I did. Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I knew someone had it.
One of our past book clubs, we talked about The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagich, and they just, on Goodreads, I saw recently that she's coming out with another book now, and it's also about sisters, and it's also set in a haunted place called Blood Manor, so I'm curious if that's going to be, like, very similar to The Dead House.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could do, like, straight prose.
Right. And not, like, a kitschy book full of crazy fun things. It's cute at first, but like you cannot continue that as like a series.
Yeah.
Just a novelty.
Melissa, do you want to give us a synopsis of the book?
Sure. So
I feel like Cassie and I always do them.
I'm the worst at them. I'm like, I don't know, here's a sentence.
Okay, so The Shadow Queen is a very loose retelling of Snow White. It's about this girl who, her name is Lorelai, and I always thought of Gilmore Girls, never read her name. So that's how it was.
I kept wondering if C.J. Redwine is a Gilmore Girls fan, because I'm
right. I was like, Lorelai. Like, who has that name, honestly, besides Lorelai? So that was cool. Anyway, so she, typical Snow White. She has like, a wicked stepmother named Irina, who's like super magical, and she ends up, killing her father. And at one point her brother, which is heartbreaking still to this day. And they both possess magic, and so Irina was really jealous of Lorelai because she was so magical, and she worked really hard to get this kingdom called Ravenspire, and I'm really bad at these summaries. So anyways, it's just kind of about Lorelai getting revenge and like taking back her kingdom, but along the way she meets these really interesting half-dragon people called Draconi, and one of them is a prince. Well, and he ends up being a king because his family dies, which is really sad too. And so he ends up kind of filling the role of the huntsman. And so basically, like, it's kind of like Lorelai, the huntsman, they all go and they try to overthrow Irina. And are we going to talk about the ending now, or should I leave it at that?
I think you're good on the synopsis. You gave us a lot to go off of.
Okay, so there,
thorough. Yeah, I was expecting like a 1 or 2 sentence summary.
Oh, sorry. See, I'm really bad at these. I'll just like keep going, and there's like a detail I remember, and then I go off on like a tangent on the detail. Like I really want to talk about Leo, but
I know. I love Leo. But anyway, So as you mentioned, The Shadow Queen is a Snow White retelling, but obviously there are some very new elements that are added into this with the magic and the dragons. So how well do you feel like this book succeeded as being a retelling?
I think if I didn't know it was a retelling, I would have been like, okay, this is kind of similar, like the huntsman and the apples and like the wicked stepmother thing, but I don't know, it felt really out there as far as the Snow White retelling. Like, there were elements to it, but it was very, you know, a very, very loose retelling.
Yeah, there were points where I was like, something would happen, like, they'd be like, oh, there's 7 dragons with me now, and I would be like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Snow White retelling. Or the mirror.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I was like, well, where are the dwarves show up? And she made a point of saying, and here I am with these 7 dragons. And I was like, oh, they're there. But there were definitely points where I was like, oh, right, this is a Snow White retelling.
Right.
Oh, I wish all of the dragons were named after emotions.
I know, that would have been cool.
I would have hated all their parents.
Extra rating
on that. What's wrong with this family?
The dragon or the sneezing dragon, that would probably be really detrimental to their gods. I also felt like it was a very loose retelling. I think that she tried very hard to have some similarities to Snow White, and I think that she really went more of like the Snow White and the Huntsman route.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I hadn't known that it was Snow White retelling and there wasn't this like giant apple on the cover, I might have seen it a little bit, but not totally made the connection. What did you guys think of Lorelai?
I liked her. I thought it was cool that instead of, you know, the whole who's the fairest of them all, it's like who's the most powerful. So you didn't really get a good idea of her being like so dainty and pretty like Snow White. So I really liked her, you know, that she was like, you know, pretty badass and possessed a lot of cool skills and obviously magic. So I thought she was good. I thought she was a good character. There are times where I thought she was a little dry. She could have been funnier, but not everyone has to be funny, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really feel like I connected with her like at all through the book. Like, I didn't really give a shit about anything she did, which is probably bad because she's the main character. But I did appreciate that she was not so much a damsel in distress. She kind of reminded me of like Fable Snow White or like Sleeper in the Spindle Snow White. So I appreciated that, but like there was no point where I was like, this Lorelai, I really like I couldn't go either way. I didn't hate her, I did love her.
Yeah, I was kind of ambivalent about her too. I also really did like that she was constantly the one that was saving Cole, if that's how you say his name. Paul.
That's what I would say. Or
I don't know.
Paul. Cole.
Cole. Okay, let's go with that. He was really like the dragon in distress, and she was the savior. But she made some points about how she is more dry because she wants people to take her seriously when she's queen, which is probably a really hard way to live. I can't imagine like constantly keeping your feelings in check because you're worried about an entire kingdom like respecting you one day. So
also, who cares? Like, are you meeting? Like, maybe when you're meeting these people, but when you're just being yourself, like.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, she obviously felt like this huge like burden of responsibility, and that fell into what she was supposed to be doing. So I get that, but also again, I wasn't a huge fan of her. She didn't really do that much for me.
It was kind of blah, you know.
And then, so another huge character in this book, which I am most curious to hear Cassie's feelings on because Cassie loves villains, is Irina. How do you feel Irina compared to other villains, and just what do you think of her as the evil queen?
To be honest, I kind of think she reminded me of a petulant child. She just seemed very like, all of her reasonings for doing things was because like she was betrayed or looked over, you know, like, wow, poor me, like the kingdom is mine. Like she doesn't do things like to be evil. It's all kind of like a revenge, and it just seems like a really like lame excuse for revenge. So I thought that she could have been way more evil, and I don't know, like she just seemed like a child, like a little baby. Like, where, you know, my sister got married before me. Oh, big deal, you know. So did mine. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I think she could have been cooler. I thought it was heartless when she killed her hot.
No, I hated that part. I don't. Such a bitch.
Yeah.
Poor Victor. I loved Victor.
I liked Victor too. I thought there was like a hope, like some kind of redemption, like Snow Queen type thing, but nope.
Yeah, I'm usually team villain. Villains are my favorite. I wore my dark side shirt today.
In support of Irina.
Yeah. Like, I loved Levana. I thought she was great from the Lunar Chronicles. I love Voldemort. He's so much fun. Villains are my favorite.
Voldemort is not fun.
He's fun. He's so fun. He's got no hair. He looks like a snake.
I don't think he's fun.
He's super cute. Look how cute.
He is not super cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I usually love the villain because they're evil and fun, and she was just like, my sister got married before me, and bleh. Like, I really love sympathetic villains. Like, Melissa and I read Nosferatu, which had which had a really great villain, and like there was a reason he was evil and crazy, and this one was just, even like Levana was like, oh, I know Kristen doesn't agree, but you know, she was burned by her own sister. I could see why you would hate your sister for that. This girl's just like, oh, this one time my dad let my sister get married before me, so I murdered her, and now I'm gonna murder her child, and I hate her. So I just thought she was terrible. She had a chance to start a life with Victor, who was the only person who loved her, and she killed him, and I didn't like her. I thought she was a bitch, and I was just really excited to see her die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she really had no redeeming qualities at all in my eyes. I think it was surprising because I feel like, especially in recent stories, there always is something about the villain that will make you sympathize, and there just really wasn't for her. And I'm wondering if the reason that was is because this is written like such a classic fairy tale.
Right, yeah, they never really explained why any of the stepmothers were evil. They were just evil.
Yeah. It is true.
It felt like almost like we didn't necessarily need to know what drove her to this. She just is a bad person, which is sad because it makes her feel more like a flat character. She's more just an emotion than a complex person with feelings. So she was hard to believe. But yeah, she was definitely not one of my favorite villains. And while I do not like Levana, I do think that Levana is a much better villain than Irina.
That's what I was hoping for, like a crazy, and she's like insane. She's just
ruthless.
Like, no.
Yeah. No,
not
she's awful.
Her, because she didn't get married first.
Mm-hmm.
My sister gets everything, so I'm gonna kill everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she just like felt entitled to having the kingdom, and it's also like weird because she forced all of these people to like follow her and pretend to love her, so she has this like superficial status, but it's still like what she's holding on to and what she wants to keep, even though it's not real.
No. She's just a spoiled little brat. She didn't get her way.
Yeah. So basically, she's horrible.
Yeah.
What were your feelings on the dragons?
I thought they were cool. The second I got to Cole's chapter, I was like, okay, I like this now. Because at first with Lorelai, I was like, oh yeah, whatevs. And then like the dragons, like I would have liked more of their story, to be honest. Kind of like more time in their world, their history, a little more, you know, less Lorelai dominated. But I liked them. They're my favorite part.
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble getting started with this book. Like, I think the first 100 pages, I could only read like 30 pages at a clip, and I would be like, ugh. But then we got to Cole's chapter. I was like, yeah, he's fun and charismatic, and he's a prankster. And then the family guy died, and he got lame, but whatever.
Yeah.
I liked the idea that they had 2 hearts. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked that too. It felt a little bit Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But I think the dragons were also my favorite part. Call is definitely one of my favorite characters, the other one being Leo, who unfortunately we didn't get that much of.
Yeah.
But I was definitely more invested in his story and more invested in him being able to save his people from the ogres than I was about Lorelai reclaiming her kingdom.
Yeah, did it even work? I mean, I assumed it worked.
I mean, I never said so.
But, yeah, they were never like, and then the ogres left alone forever at the end.
Like, oh my god, warm water.
I think it did because at the end when they're having like the coronation or whatever for Lorelai, he was supposedly back in his kingdom, so I can't imagine that he would like feel free to come back because he surprises her at the end and shows up to her coronation. So I can't imagine that.
I mean, this author told us everything, and she didn't tell us this. Like, I felt like she told us everything. Every time a character had a piece of dialogue, it was like, well, this is how my magic works, and it works like this, and blah 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 blah.
Cassie loved this story.
What? I have problems with this book. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There was definitely a lot more telling than showing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you were in Cole's position, would you have made the same choices as him?
You mean like hold myself back from ripping her heart out?
Yeah, are you eating something?
I was like, what are these voices? He's like rubbing styrofoam together.
Maybe.
Just be this nice and quiet, like.
I'm like, I hope no one notices while I do this. I forgot the question. Oh, no, because okay, like yeah, magic is great, but like obviously that queen is like a total hag. So and there's other people like he mentioned Fae. Why not go visit the Fae instead? I'm sure they have more in common with the Fae than like a random like Mardushka, you know, since they're both other. So I feel like I probably would have approached the Fae over a notorious evil queen.
Well, I thought it was interesting. He like had no idea she was evil. He was like, "Oh well, her people are starving, so she'll probably want food." No, no.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if that was because everyone was expelled, so maybe news didn't get out to other kingdoms or whatever. But maybe if he had studied a little better, he would have known that. But I mean, it's not his fault. He was like, "Well, there's no way I'll ever be king because there's my brother in line in front of me."
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it sounded like a good plan if she were a normal human being instead of a gross, bitchy monster.
Yeah.
So I don't fault him for trying.
Me either. I think that his intentions were admirable, and I think that he really, like, he saw that as the easiest solution because he knew that she was a Mardushka, so she would have magic that would be able to get rid of the ogres. Yeah, he definitely just wasn't anticipating that she was, like, a psychopath. Because who wouldn't want to have, like, a kingdom where people are happy and able to eat? So I think that he probably saw the situation at hand and figured that he had the most to gain and she had the most to gain if they made some kind of agreement. So I think that his methodology was good. I just think that, yeah, I just can't stand her. But so speaking of like the other areas, the Shadow Queen. Put my wine glass on the floor for a moment.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Yes, you do. I'm sure. It has one of the most beautiful maps that I've ever seen in a book. Like, half of what sold me on this book was this map, because I was just like, this is so pretty.
That's the whole book.
I'm also like really glad that they gave this to us in the first book instead of making us wait until like the second one. Because
Winter's Crime didn't have a map in the first, or Winter's Curse didn't have a map, but the second one has a map.
Yeah, that some of them just wait until the second book to do a map, which I don't get. So I like that, like, because I definitely like looked at this to see how far away certain kingdoms were from other ones.
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious which kingdom we're going to be in the next book.
Wait, so this is there's a series of these?
This is going to be a series. So each book will be a different fairy tale retelling, and it's going to follow a different set of characters. But I would imagine that some of them will show up.
Okay, so if you look at the edges, there's all these pictures, and I feel like they hint at what's to come. So this one's like kind of Cinderella-y. There's all these pumpkins.
Yeah.
And this one's obviously, it's got apples and mirrors, so that's this one, and dragons. And this one looks like it's got a little gnome guy, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Hansel and Gretel?
I was just thinking that, Hansel and Gretel.
There's a candy cane and like 2 siblings.
There's a wolf.
I stalked her Goodreads page, and she said I think she only sold the first 2 books, technically.
I saw that too, but wasn't that from like a month ago, like 7 months ago?
Yeah, I didn't look at the date, but yeah, I think that was when she had just started maybe envisioning the series, so maybe they just like bought the first 2 books outright.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, based on what they did, they would give her other ones.
So given that map, and even though we know that there are more coming, were you satisfied with the amount of world building that happened in the Shadow Queen?
No, because I didn't know there were more coming, and I wanted to know more about, like, they mentioned Fae and, like, the other kingdoms, and I was like, well, I want to know more. Like, what else is out there? You know, like, the book was very, you know, this little bitty circle of just, like, you know, 98% Ravenspire. So I feel like it set it up for me wanting to know more, but it didn't satisfy that need.
Yeah, I like that it was a standalone book, because I guess my understanding is the other books are going to be different fairy tales, but they're like companion books set in the same world versus like interconnected stories, I believe. But yeah, I could have done with more world building and less action scenes.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I feel like when there are too many action scenes, I end up feeling bored.
Yeah, like I can't follow it, and I'm just like, ugh.
Like, what? Mountains exploding?
It's hard to figure like what's going on.
Yeah, give me some character development or something. I don't know.
Oh, right. Well, I was like, now I forgot my own question. So for me, yeah, I wish that there would have been more world building throughout the different areas in Ravenspire instead of focusing on like just those 2, even though I understand why it was done. And I do feel like the mention of the Fae was probably because that's something that's going to be explored in the next one, so they just kind of wanted to give us a taste that, like, hey, this is out there. But it didn't necessarily feel very satisfying, because I was like, there's this whole world in front of me on this map, but I really only know about 2 places in here.
Yeah. And they kind of mentioned Moorcant, which is, I guess, where Irina's from, right?
Right, yeah.
But they didn't really, like, go there at all. They were just like, that's where people with magic are.
Wait, okay.
Mardushkas.
Question. So, maybe I wasn't paying good enough attention, but, okay, so who is Lorelai's mother? Is that Irina's sister or someone else completely?
Yeah.
Tatiana.
Okay, that's what I thought. So she's technically her aunt mother.
Yes.
Okay, she, like, never mentioned that. I was like, that was weird. I guess that was cool, you know, in fantasy worlds.
I think I don't know if they ever, like, really went into it very much, but I think it was implied because only people from Moorcant have magic, and
then there's that scene where she talked to the bones, and, like, she's like, and all her mother's blood went into her, but then she like, called her mother by a different name at some point than what Irina had called her, and I got confused, so it was just like, I don't know.
I don't remember that.
What?
I don't remember her calling her.
Scene where she was like, I'm the daughter of, maybe she said the king's name. I don't know. She was like, I'm the daughter of blah, 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 and I've blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought that I thought that she was talking about her and Tatiana's mother at that point.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, I think Tatiana is Lorelai's mom, and then
/ Irina's sister.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Reading comprehension.
That's okay. It is amazing that there was so much information that was given in this book, but then there were certain things that were a little bit glazed over.
Right.
Because I think all 3 of us are very, like, thorough and avid readers, so it's rare that we would miss something as important as that.
Yeah, I'm like on like the last 100 pages was like, why am I asking these like simple questions about basic genealogy?
Yeah. So Irina and Cole, obviously from their first encounter, were definitely going to have some kind of romantic relationship. Oh yeah, Lorelai. Sorry, not Just kidding. That wouldn't have happened. That was not what I meant.
Table stuff with a crown, and they gave each other pain. It was great.
That would be a really bad relationship. Anyway, what did you think of the progression of Lorelai and Cole's relationship, and not Irina?
Well, I thought it was okay. I didn't really feel any sparks. You know, I mean, I liked Cole more than I liked Lorelai.
Me too.
So, like, he seemed really attractive from Lorelai's point of view. But, like, you know, she was so, like, blah to me that it was really hard for me to get into their romance at all.
I'm kind of getting exhausted with this YA, I know who's going to end up with who thing. Like, for the most part, you're like, okay, why are we even pretending? Like, they're like, oh, and then I felt that warm inside. And what's happening? I'm like,
not magic.
Young people bone each other. Like, why are we pretending? Like, you're obviously going to end up together. We're not stupid.
Right.
I'm just really tired of that. I also hated, well, that's another question, but I don't know. I thought they were kind of cute at the very end, like the last epilogue scene.
Yeah.
I thought was kind of cute. But up until then, I was like, oh no, I accidentally hugged him. And then I was like, oh no, I touched you. I'm so sick of that shit.
Yeah. Me too. I wasn't totally sold on their romance. And it almost felt like, I don't know, like when Irina took Cole's human heart, he only had his dragon heart, so he wasn't able to communicate. But then he was able to communicate with Lorelai just through thoughts. I was like, you know, like this is the only person that he could talk to for a really long time. So I would imagine that he would have feelings for her because there's no one else that understands him.
No other chicks around.
Yeah. And she did, like, she believed in him, and she was constantly telling him that he could overcome Irina's magic and that he was good and all of that kind of stuff. So she was very supportive of him. But I also, like...
Supportive, or did she just not want him to rip her head off?
Yeah.
I think it was both. I think that she really was supportive of him because...
She wanted him in her pants.
Yeah, she did. Curious how that's going to work out since they both have their own kingdoms to rule, and I can see Lorelai leaving hers now that she just got it back. So I'm more interested in what's going to happen to their relationship after than what was happening when it was forming. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the Shadow Queen is, like I said before, it's like very structured as a fairy tale. There are a lot of fairy tale elements that it is hitting. Like it starts with Once Upon a Time, and you know it ends with a happily ever after, obviously. But there still is like a lot of heartbreak in the middle section. So what would you say was like the hardest moment for you to read?
Oh God, the death of Leo. I mean, he was like the sole comic relief in the book, and I thought they were going to bring him back because he was killed off so soon, and he was such a strong character. You know, like something was missing when he left. Like you felt his absence. I mean, like I understand how his death, you know, made her more vengeful and like sped up the timeline, but it sucked.
What was the question? Your most painful?
Yeah.
Okay. For me,
we're gonna have a sarcastic answer.
No, I'm not. I knew it was gonna happen, but that whole scene where Irina's like, I just need to try a different heart.
Right.
And then she winks at her boyfriend. He was just like, oh, but don't use the dragon's heart. And I was like, oh, she's gonna steal his heart. But then he did the dumbest thing ever because he thought she really loved him and she would pick him over killing other people. He was like, well, you can have my heart. And she's like, okay, cool. And then she took it. And I felt really bad for him. I love Victor.
I like it. He's really hot.
He was so dumb for loving this monster. I didn't get it, but they were so cute. And I thought, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but when he was like, we should just, like, get a ship and go find an island, I was like, oh, that'd be so cute.
Right?
He became not evil, and they would live happily. No, I knew it wasn't going to happen. But the second he was
cool.
like, yeah. So then she took his heart, and he was like, wait, no, don't, because he thought she was going to pick him.
Yeah.
That was terrible. I love Victor. I thought he was great.
Yeah, I thought so, too. I was also really upset about that.
Yeah.
I really didn't think that she was going to kill him. It would have been so great if she would have been like, all right, let's run away. And
yeah.
That made such a twist.
Like, okay, I don't really need this dying
There's actually a fractured fairy tale retelling called something about, I think it might just be called The Fairest or something, but it's like for adults. And it's like Rapunzel meets Snow White, and like the Rapunzel character becomes the evil stepmother kind of, but she redeems herself, and it's really cute. So I thought that would have been nice if that had happened in this book.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is that by like
Carolyn
Turgan or something?
Yeah, you knew a coworker who like was related to her or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the question. I agree. I think that the part with Victor was really heartbreaking, but I'm torn because I also really, really, really loved Leo. I think that I would have enjoyed the book a lot more if Leo would have been around for more of it.
Definitely.
So I think that was, because his death happened like pretty early on.
Yeah.
So I think from then on it kind of, I wasn't as into it just because I was like, well, he's gone now, and I don't like the villain, and I don't really like the main character, so now who do I like?
No one.
But Leo's the best part.
Yeah.
See, I thought he could have gone either way. I thought he could have been like incredibly annoying, and I would have hated him, or he could have been like the best, most flamboyant character and amazing.
Right?
We didn't get to see enough, so I like couldn't make a concrete decision.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he would have been the best.
Yeah. Okay. I trust your judgment, guys.
Do you think that the magic in the story enhanced the retelling, or do you feel like it hindered it in any way? I know we like sort of touched upon this already, but
I mean, I thought it was a cool twist, better than the whole being like the prettiest. But there was excessive use of it, so it was just kind of like ho hum. It didn't seem super special to me.
I love saying the word Mardushka. I think that's a really fun word, so I like that. But yeah, it just, by the time she had revealed her magic and like didn't care about it anymore, it's like, oh well, she's just gonna use her magic to get out of this. So
right.
Like, I'm not worried for her. She just named some stupid incanter and get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the stakes weren't very high.
Yeah, I was like, well, obviously she's gonna win.
Yeah. I felt like there were some cool elements of the magic. Like, I liked that Lorelai couldn't just make certain things disappear. It had to be transferred. I thought that was fun. Like, when I forget what it was. I don't know if it was, like, the pain from Gabriel's leg or something that she had to put into a tree, or if that was, like, pain from someone had pain and it went into a tree. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Doing it.
The way to kill that tree.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I do too.
Poor tree.
I think about that too. Like, now that there's this magic in there, like, what happens to that?
Yeah, but the land is like alive and has a heart,
right?
So you're hurting it technically.
Yeah.
Can you put it in like a house, like a dead tree?
I don't know.
Or like a mean cat or something?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, like in Green Mile when he takes the sickness out of the
and then it's like the
guard's wife and puts it into that dick bag board? Like that. That's what she should have
that movie, A Heart.
She should have saved all that pain and put it in Irina and been done with it.
That's fine. Just like thinking now. But how did you feel about the pacing of the story?
It felt kind of slow. There were points where it dragged. And there's more interesting parts, but like the action scenes, they seemed kind of, kind of trite after a while, like not super exciting. There wasn't like a really big build-up. I just feel like all of a sudden they were like, fighting like a stone queen and king, and then like 10 minutes later they're fighting Irina. Like I didn't feel like there was like a huge build-up.
Mm-hmm.
Like there didn't seem to be the climactic moment was very like anticlimactic. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Melissa. Like the action scenes after a point were just like, oh well, we have to keep attacking her, so I'm gonna attack this road. Oh no, bugs are coming. Oh no, I'm gonna attack this forest. Oh no, trees are coming. And it was just, it started slow, and then I thought it would get better, but it was just too much back to back to back. Let's take a break in between and make goo eyes at each other, sort of thing. I just found myself kind of zoning out toward the end until they actually got to the castle.
Yeah, I definitely had issues with the pacing. I felt like the beginning was slow, but I was more, I think, engaged in the beginning because I really liked the way that different things were described. Like, I thought that her imagery was really pretty and definitely did justice to fairy tales, just like the description of like the scrying mirror and the collar and like different things like that. I was like, okay, this is very like pretty language, but it was weird because it was a little bit slow, and then all of a sudden there was just like a ton of action, and then it would kind of be slow again, and then there would be a lot more action. So it just wasn't like there wasn't any like building to me. It was just kind of like up or down. There was in the middle, which was a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question that we have is one that Cassie thought of, and I could just see her like thinking this while she was doing it. So Lorelai was able to form a psychic bond with her bird Sasha and also with Call. No, you're just
I'm just shaking my head thinking about all these.
Yeah. So she was able to like communicate with both of them, just like they could hear each other's thoughts and stuff. But then also she's traveling with Gabriel, who didn't have that connection. So, like, do you think she just like looked crazy for a lot of the time? And like what do you think he was thinking when she's just standing there like
no, I don't want that mouse. I'm sure at first it was like a little disorienting, but he's probably used to it by now. I mean, like, didn't she rescue that bird like right when they escaped?
Yeah.
Like, a little baby bird. So I feel like he's probably used to it. Like, he just kind of seems like very accepting of the fact that Lorelai is special.
I felt so bad for Gabriel throughout this whole thing of like, this saint just puts up with all this. This girl is talking to her fucking bird all the time, and this guy comes along that he doesn't trust, and they're having head conversations like the whole time. So I just imagine them having their stupid head conversations and him being like, teenagers. It kind of reminded me of the most recent season of iZombie. So the main character Liv has these like visions, and you see like inside the vision. So they had this one episode where she's just like doing something, and then she just stops and is like. So that's what that reminded me of, kind of, where they're like, they look like probably like weirdos, just having this like personal weird. I thought you saw me kissing you in my mind. Oh, you're blushing, blah blah blah. And he's just like,
am I better than all those girls I just saw?
God, I hated all that. It was too much. And then at the end, when they're like, oh, I'm so glad we could talk over distances really long, and I was like,
of course they can.
I hated that. I hated that so much.
Yeah.
Every italicized page. No.
And what?
Every italicized page. I don't know. I hated the bird too. I hated that she talked to that bird. I just didn't like it.
I like the bird. Okay, what annoyed me about the whole thing was like, in the very beginning, the bird's like, oh, here's some rabbit guts or something, and she's like, no, you know, I'm not gonna have that. Like, she acted like it was the first time she was telling the bird that she didn't want rabbit guts or something. You know?
No, didn't she say that she would have, like, humans would have rabbit guts, but they wouldn't have something else?
Oh yeah, mouse guts, whatever, something. But I felt like she was always like explaining it for the first time, even though she's had this bird since it was, you know.
Yeah, I think falcons are pretty smart.
Yeah.
Especially if you can talk to them. Also, how does that bird understand English?
I don't know. I mean, but if you think about it, like, really, what is the brain capacity of a bird? So maybe the bird felt like that was the first time that she was explaining it every time.
True.
Why didn't you tell me earlier? I have a great memory of a bird. What should I say?
So we kind of already talked about how there are going to be more books in the series, but each of them is a standalone and has a completed story. Do you feel satisfied with the story, or are you like looking forward to the next one because you want to find out more about the world?
Also, I'm done with their story. Like, I don't really care about it. But I wouldn't mind seeing something else in the world. Like, I'm very interested in a Beauty and the Beast type story, since obviously that's my favorite. I'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, the world seems cool, but I feel like I love fairy tale retellings. Like, they're my favorite, but the bar has been set so high with A Court of Thorn and Roses and Wrath in the Dawn that, like, everything else just kind of, like, misses. It just falls below, and I'm just left, like, wanting. And then I just want to go immediately back and reread those books.
And Robin McKinley. She's
yes.
Also
a favorite. Also a favorite.
Was there a second part of that question?
We'll just do it after.
Okay. Yeah, if we never went back to Lorelai and Call ever again, I like would not care.
Yeah.
But I mean, I liked the world was interesting, so I would be curious to see what she could do, and maybe, you know, second books aren't usually always the best, but, you know, sometimes now that the writer's got a little more, you know, time into it, it might be a little better. So I don't know. Could go either way.
Usually the writer has less time with the second book because they've already sold the first one. So now
the second book is always so bad.
Yeah.
I feel like the second book, except for Victoria Schwab's A Gathering of Shadows.
Oh my gosh, I really want to read that.
It's better than the first one.
Really?
Yes. It was great. I loved it even more.
I keep hearing she's really, really amazing at second books because I also like really, really loved The Unbound.
Yeah, I love
the second book. Like she just is superhuman.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it.
I love The Unbound. Those were great.
Me too. I'm so excited that the third one I think has a name now.
My God, I even forgot there was supposed to be a third one.
Yeah.
Remember there was all that drama where it might not happen. And everyone was like, no!
Yeah, but now she's saying that that it definitely is coming. Just
okay.
Said like be patient. But I'm just like I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
On my phone because
I'll fill time.
I can't remember the title, but I'm like determined to find it. I want to say it was like The Keeper or something.
This
Keeper?
Because that's my favorite.
Oh, sorry, no, The Returned.
Oh, okay.
Which I can't wait for that book. I
want more Roland. He's my fave.
I love him. God, I like forgot about those books. I'll have to reread them before I read them.
I want to reread those. Those are like high on my list of rereads.
Yeah, they're really good.
But anyway, back to the Shadow Queen.
What? No.
The other portion of that question was going to be, which fairy tale do you hope that she tackles next?
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay. I feel like there aren't enough Little Mermaid retellings.
I agree.
I love a Little Mermaid retelling. There really aren't. All the other fairy tales, like even Alice in Wonderland has like 50,000 retellings, but Little Mermaid gets like
none.
None.
Yeah, none. Zero.
The only
read The Summer of Chasing Mermaids, though. That's a Little Mermaid retelling.
What is?
The Summer of Chasing Mermaids.
Oh.
Are they actually mermaids?
Loved it. No, so it's a contemporary. It's not fantasy. So it's definitely it's not like a real fairy tale, but it's inspired by it, and it's really good. I know both of you are not so much big into contemporary, so.
I like adult.
It depends what mood I'm in. I really like The Devil Wears Prada. It's
It's a very good book.
It has to be really good.
What?
It has to be really good for me to read it.
I read all the Sarah Shepard and Lauren Oliver contemporaries, though.
I haven't read any Lauren Oliver.
I haven't either.
No, wait, not 13 Reasons Why. That's a different book. Before I Fall is amazing, and I stayed up all night to read that book.
I've heard that.
That also had like a little twist to it.
Huh.
It was about a girl's last day on Earth, and she keeps reliving it over and over again.
Like Groundhog Day?
Kind of, yeah. But I mean, it was still a contemporary, but I really liked that special, like, little twist to it.
Yeah. Huh.
I like contemporaries a lot. I like, especially in the spring and summer, I like reading them. I think they're fun and like mindless, and I'm just like, oh, look at these like kids in high school. I wish I was still doing this kind of thing and like going to the beach and not working and stuff.
Right.
So I just live vicariously through them. But I think they're fun. I also hope that Beauty and the Beast could be next for what might be retold, but I'm also like curious if she's gonna stick with like the very well-known and like traditional type fairy tales, because I feel like Cassie said, there are a ton of certain fairy tales that are just constantly retold, and it would be really nice to get some that are not ones that we've just seen over and over.
Like Wrath of the Dawn.
Lion, that could be the Beast. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But, like, even lesser known, like, because Snow White is Brothers Grimm, so it would be cool to see like a really
like Bluebeard,
well known at all fairy tale to be tackled. But again, I guess that probably wouldn't have as big of a mass market appeal.
No, but I don't know. I feel like that could work really well. Like the Juliet, I'm gonna ruin her name, Marillier, Daughter of the Forest, which is based on like the Seven Swans or something.
Really?
Yeah, that's really amazing. And that's
I read
like
a lot of her stuff lately.
What was that?
I've read her stuff lately.
Yeah,
you just read Heart's Blood, right?
And I read what was it? Grim and Thorn or something. I can't even remember what it was
Oh,
called.
yeah, the first one is Dreamer's Pool.
Yeah, Dreamer's Pool.
Oh, okay.
They're good, except for one thing, but I'm not going to tell you.
Good.
But yeah, I feel like, you know, just taking that groundwork could really work. I mean, I feel like when you pick something really well known, it's just like Cinderella's been done 8 million times, Snow White's been done 8 million times, Sleeping Beauty, and then no one cares about the Little Mermaid.
Except we do.
She's a mermaid! Yes, she's a mermaid. Someone do more mermaid stuff. I feel like there's no good mermaid stuff.
There isn't. I mean, it's kind of hard to do because it's like, you know, other things you can just have your own interpretation of what they are. But a Little Mermaid, it's like, okay, well, it's a mermaid. You know, like, there's not really a lot you can do differently.
Mermaids are great.
They are.
That's all you need is a mermaid.
Okay. Do you feel like there was anything that set Shadow Queen apart from the rest of the books in this YA fairy tale retelling genre?
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Do you feel like there was anything specific that really like set the Shadow Queen apart from all of the rest of the YA retellings that we are talking about now?
Maybe the fact that they included dragons. You know, like that was definitely a random, like, insertion into the story, in my opinion. You know, like it was a very loose retelling, but then there's like this whole other side story dragon element. So I think that made it more different.
I don't think it was that special, but I felt like it was more high fantasy than most fantasy retellings, which are kind of like middle of the road fantasy. I thought this was like maybe it was like the way the magic functioned was a little more high fantasy, but I didn't think it was anything amazing personally.
Yeah. I was kind of sad that there wasn't something more that would make me more like apt to recommend it to people. Because like I said, I think the beginning, like the descriptions and everything were so fairy tale-esque and just had like so much potential.
Yeah.
So like it was I really enjoyed that, but then I just didn't feel like there was anything in it that felt very original. Like, even the dragons, like, I thought that that was cool, but I wasn't like, wow, this is
Wow, dragons! Oh my god, dragons!
I'm this mythical creature.
Oh my god.
Did you guys have a favorite character and least favorite character?
Okay, so favorite character, probably Leo, even though he was only in the book for like a quarter. He was the funniest to me. Least favorite character, probably Irina. Such a whiny little bitch. Couldn't stand her.
My favorites are Victor, even though we didn't get to see a lot of him, because I feel like he could have been really fun and great, and Gabriel, because he put up with a lot of shit, and you have to be a very special. Like, he left his whole family behind to deal with this stupid girl and her quest for the kingdom. That's great. Least favorite, Irina. I hated her. I wanted her to die. I also didn't really like Trug.
Okay, yeah.
Dragon Trug. He was like, I like ladies, not bone all of them. I'm Trug. No, not a fan. I felt like he was very like a flat caricature who was just like, I feel like she put him in there to be like funny, but it kind of felt like forced.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, all her humor just felt really forced to me.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like
Except for Leo.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess.
I love that one part where she's like, you look very fetching. Like, I had me in stitches when she first met the prince, and she said that. I thought that was really funny. I was actually laughing out loud.
You know what? It's interesting. If she's trying so hard to be such a good queen, why is she so bad at courtly language? I'm just saying.
I think that either Leo or Call were my favorite character. And then my least favorite is a tie between Irina and the bird. I also didn't like the bird.
What did that bird do? The bird did nothing.
I mean, it looked for a free path. Oh, it's clear over here.
Yeah, you could have just like assumed and been done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you cut the bird out completely, it would change the plot in 0 ways.
That's true. I did feel like the bird was forced comic relief.
Yeah. It was.
Fuck that bird. That bird should have died. Edwin should have lived. That bird should have died.
No one cares about the bird. They should have eaten him.
I also wasn't a huge fan of Jin. I think that's how you'd say her name.
Yeah.
She was the other dragon, like the
I was like, who are you
dragon friends, like Trug and Jin. And like Jin, I think had potential, but I felt like she was written in a way where it was like, this is a strong female character, and she takes nothing from anyone. And I was just like, she doesn't have a personality. Like, she just is kind of there.
I wanted her to be more like a Sith, I think. I think that would be fun, like from 4.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it felt like she was there just so that there would be a character like that included.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, well, we need a strong woman dragon, so she's going to be there talking about how she's strong.
When we already had Lorelai, who was a strong character and the one that was saving people, so I just didn't feel like it was very, like, necessary.
I didn't care about her at all.
Me either.
I forgot they existed until the very end. I was like, oh, yeah.
Did you have a favorite and least favorite scene?
Favorite scene was probably that one scene I just mentioned that made me laugh out loud, where she first met him and she's like, you look fetching or something. And Leo was like dying. That was hilarious to me. I don't know why, but it was really funny. Least favorite scene? Probably Leo dying, or when Irina took Victor's heart.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
I don't think I had a favorite scene. I mean, I thought the end was kind of cutesy. Like, I was like, oh, that's cute, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
God, this book is over. It's cute.
It's extra cute now.
Okay. Least favorite is probably a tie between the bug scene, because that was gross. I hate bugs. And that apple scene where she takes
Oh, yeah.
What was her name?
That's disturbing. Lady.
That was incredibly disturbing. That's where she lost. That's where, like, Irina lost me. I was like, nope.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, that woman is stuck to a wall for all eternity, vomiting apples.
Ugh.
That was so gross.
That was horrible. I was like, what in the hell am I reading?
At first I was like, oh no, she's going to be, like, sexually assaulted by this tree. That did not happen.
No evil did.
But I don't know, something about, like, what monster thinks of that? Like, I'm going to have this lady vomit apples for all eternity. I think that'd be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Pretty gross.
I think I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite scene because I also
because
feel
there's
like
so many favorites, or because you didn't care.
there were like things that happened where they were happening and I was like, okay, this is engaging. I'm interested in it and I can read this part faster. But then nothing really like stuck out in my mind afterward.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Favorite scene is hard, but least favorite might be when either the Victor thing, because that was like devastating, but also that kind of like borderlines a least favorite and favorite scene because I was
you're actually like engaged with that scene.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But then least favorite, in the beginning, there's like a mom who kills her child.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
And like that was just really sad to me, and I was like, I don't like reading things like this.
Yeah, I hated that part.
I was like, don't care. Who are these people? Don't care. I have no soul.
It was rough. I was just like, I can't believe she went there.
Yeah. How many stars did you give Shadow Queen, and would you recommend it to other people to read?
3. And sure, if you like a quick Snow White retelling, and if you have a lot of time on your hands.
I also gave it a 3 because I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So I figured a 3 was like a solid in between.
Mm-hmm.
Would I recommend this book to anyone? Probably not. No. I just didn't think it was special enough to be like, you have to read this book, regardless of like the type of person who I would recommend it to.
Yeah. Right. I also gave it a 3, so that's amazing that we're all in agreement.
Yeah, we're all in agreement.
I think I initially had given it a 4, because because I did like the ending, but then when I like really sat down and thought about it and thought about like the questions and stuff, I was like, this really isn't anything special. Like it was, like Cassie said, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, so I think it was very in the middle for me.
I like that you do that too.
Yeah.
Like I'll rate a book like immediately after I read it, but then when I'm like writing my review or something, and I'll be like, no, that book didn't deserve that extra star. Or, no, wait, that book was great. I'm gonna bump it up.
Like, you know what? I did like that book.
Yeah. No, wait. Now that I've thought about it for a little bit,
I love it actually. That happened.
Yeah. I think also like sometimes too, if a book stays with you longer after you finish it, like that's telling of like a good book. Whereas this, I was done and I was like, great, now I can move on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, I have another book to read, so I should probably finish this real quick so I can get to my next book.
Right.
I honestly don't think I would have finished it as quickly if we didn't read it for book club and like it didn't be done by now. Because there were a lot of other things that I really did want to read instead.
My deadline was the end of March. Like I was like, I'm gonna finish this by the end of March. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I just like I don't think that I would recommend it really to anyone either. Because I feel like it depends on like what kind of reader someone is. And I think that there are like certain books that people who are reviewers and stuff should read just so, because they should be like aware of, you know, everything in that genre and stuff. But like for the casual reader, I wouldn't be like spend time on this one. I would definitely recommend other things. Like I would probably recommend the Lunar Chronicles if I was like,
definitely,
if you want to read a fairy tale thing, you know.
I think that's what made me most excited about this book was I don't remember who, like, if a reviewer or someone wrote it, but I had heard it was like oh, it's just like the Lunar Chronicles, but like fantasy instead of sci-fi.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Which I think is what had me most excited for this. And
maybe the first book is the least engaging, and then it'll just keep getting better.
Yeah, I mean, that is a possibility. Like, I'm not completely going to necessarily not give the second book a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what it is and what I hear about it.
Same. Like, if it, like you said, if it is like The Little Mermaid, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get that one. So before we wrap up, we actually already chose our next book.
Oh, we can't show it to you.
Yeah, we can't show
we could.
Because it's not out yet. What?
We wish we could show it to you.
Yeah, we do. And it's actually really exciting because the release date for this book got moved up. So we are going to be reading The Rose and the Dagger, which is the conclusion to The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. And
so excited!
We are so excited. It comes out on April 26th now. So we were actually debating doing 2 book clubs in May, one for The Wrath and the Dawn and one for A Court of Mist and Fury. But because this one got moved up, we have all been like, yeah, we're going to read that like the day it comes out. And we're going
to read the shit out of it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So that is our plan. And I'm sure that there are a lot of other people that are on the same page as us. So hopefully you'll join us for that one. Before we leave, too, do you guys want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever as Mecca Melissa.
And you can find me on the whole internet, 100% of the internet, as Yurchmonger. It's YRCHMONGER. I'm mostly on Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter, not necessarily in that order. Or I have a book blog. You can go to bibliomantics.com and hear me write more about books.
And you can find me here on this channel. And I am Super Space Chick everywhere on the internet, on Instagram, Twitter, and my...
4chan.
And what?
4chan.
4chan. I don't frequent 4chan.
She's like the top poster, you guys.
That is the one place where you will not find me. And Reddit. I really don't use Reddit either.
I've been using it lately. It's weird. I
Really?
got addicted.
Andrew uses Reddit, and he'll show me things that he finds on there, so I feel like I don't have to look, because he'll just fill me in.
There's some funny thing I've been there sometimes. I'm like, that's funny.
I'm going to plug a podcast about Reddit called Seeing Reddit. I really enjoy that podcast. Some friends made it. And so they go to, there's like a random button where you can hit, it takes you to a random subreddit, and they discuss it every week. So they get like the weirdest nonsense.
That's hilarious.
Like Bollywood realism. They've gotten like weird video games. So check that out, because now that we're plugging Reddit.
That sounds interesting.
Yes.
So that's all that we have for this book club, but we will see you guys with our next one, and we will try to be better about telling you when we're actually going to have a live show in advance.
Yeah. Follow us on our Goodreads group, Spines with Wines, where we post all our important things.
Yes.
All the info.
That's what we update all the time.
I try.
You do. You're much better with it than Melissa and I.
Wow.
I created it, and that's kind of as far.
Yep. I joined it.
Yes. Good job.
Me, I joined it.
Yes. But anyway, so yeah, we will see you guys next month to talk about The Rose and the Dagger, which we are really excited about. So have a good month. Bye.